Hello and welcome to Interjections Bounce Back Edition. And I'm not talking about Inter's performance. I'm talking about Carlos Augusto's beautiful new hairline. I'm your host, Andrew. I'm with Miko, Irfan, and Jay. Irfan, what's up?
Nothing much. It definitely feels good to be back on the winning side, and everyone's favorite Inter player, Lautaro, back in form. So I'm doing well.
Miko, how is lovely Finland right now?
It's getting colder and colder. Unlike Lautaro is going the other direction, so feeling good.
Outrageous segue.
Hello, Jay.
Diabolical segue that was. Hello. Did we win last night? It doesn't feel like it. That didn't feel like a win, but yeah. What can I say? It was better than last week.
It's hard when you're comparing yourself against what was it, 3-0 over Lecce. I understand the disappointment you're facing.
The dog.
Yeah, give me a second here. He saw
Okay,
someone at the
okay.
door. The main headline from the win over Udinese yesterday, Meek already touched on it. It's the return of Lautaro. He gets an ugly goal that I'm still not sure how he scored at the end of the first half. But maybe it's just an instance of he needed to see the ball go to the back of the net because he responds in the second half with one of his only two, but his best goal in quite some time. It was the Lautaro we saw last season in terms of quality of finish. Over the past few games, he's slowly more involved in play. He got an assist last week, as you all know. So it feels like we're finally waking this guy up. So as you look at what that means for our season, Irfan, how are you feeling about our outlook for the rest of the season with Lautaro kind of perking up? And what did you see yesterday that you liked?
Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, you can tell it's been coming. He's been more involved in the play. He's been grabbing assists more recently, so he's at least becoming more influential. But yeah, yesterday scoring two goals was great, and your point's excellent because that first goal was it was like ugly. And when he scored that first goal, I was like, oh man, like of all the types of goals to score, he's going to score something like that where it didn't even seem like he did much, and he kind of scuffed the shot, and somehow it still went in. So, but maybe that's like any striker, that's what he needed to see it, that belief flowing back through his veins. And then the second goal he scored was a really really good goal. It was in tight space with like three defenders around him, and he perfectly placed the ball. So shout out to Taram. I think on both chances for setting him up. But it's great to see him playing better. Hopefully this continues. I think one of the criticisms of him has always been that he'll show up against the Leches of the world, but he won't show up against some of the bigger clubs. But more so than that, I think it's just where he is in his like hot streak and his drought. So hopefully now that he's knocked two in, that's definitely a good sign for us going forward. And hopefully he just continues it. And I think for Inzaghi, he just has to continue to kind of dig into that belief and give him more chances. And I think Taram doing a better job of maybe setting up and being a little bit less selfish also helps. And hopefully he'll continue to do that because those two, when they're clicking, they work really well together. So yeah, it's definitely a good sign of things to come. And hopefully that's the end of his, annual 2-month drought. And now we can move on and dominate the rest of the season.
I'm not trying to be too critical of Taremi here, but he's played in 4 or 5 matches now for Inter. He hasn't scored a goal yet. I know he hasn't started all those matches, but I think it just speaks to Lautaro and Thuram are where the goals come from in the system. Last year, it was a well balanced attack. A lot of different players were chipping in with low goal totals. But at the end of the day, Lautaro and Thuram scored disproportionate amount of our goals. And I don't think it's a coincidence that our early season struggles have coincided with Lautaro just not being back from vacation mode yet. But while the attack is fun to talk about because we put 3 past Udinese yesterday, there's lots of reasons to be concerned about the defense. We conceded a ugly header again in the first half. Something about this team, they just keep conceding headers this season. Then in the second half, we got caught out on the break again. The weird thing about the match yesterday was that so we start Bissek at right center back, and then halfway through the match, or I guess after the 70th minute mark or so, Inzaghi makes a really weird change where he takes out Bastoni, and you think he's going to go ahead and kick a Cherby to left center back, but instead of that, he does something this podcast has been advocating for. He puts Bissek at left center back, but he puts De Vrij at right center back for the first time in his Inter career. It was a bit of a head scratcher, and then we immediately concede. So not too surprised by the result of this experimentation. Jay, what's going on with the defense? Why do we keep giving up header goals? Why do we keep giving up chances? And what do you think of this reimagined backline?
To answer your question, why do we keep conceding aerial goals? I don't know. It's hard to say. I don't think Pavard is particularly strong in the air. De Vrij tends to get beaten out by big, strong target men. Bastoni is a bit of a beanstalk. If there's one kind of criticism I've had of Bastoni over the years, it's that he's not really like hard enough. He's more elegant and technical and somewhat more of a zoner than someone like a Chiellini, who's much more of a brute. Bastoni doesn't really relish the physical duel between himself and an attacker, whereas you can see someone like Chiellini enjoys that. And there are players who just build like that. You see it sometimes in combat sports. There are guys who really just enjoy the swanging and banging, as they say, whereas there are some more technical fighters who kind of skirt around and throw jabs, and they don't want to get damaged. They don't want to take damage. And if I'm to use that kind of fighting analogy, then Bastoni's certainly the latter kind of defender. And so I think when you have players who are like that inherently, they're going to be less likely to not only contest headers, but they're not going to throw themselves in kind of like full-bodied the way you see someone like Chiellini being the perfect example, or even Materazzi back in the old days, or even our former hard men like Samuel, Lucio, etc. They used to throw themselves in there with reckless abandon. Bastoni doesn't do that. Pavard doesn't do that. De Vrij doesn't do that. The closest we have is a Cherby, but even a Cherby is not quite as I don't want to say dirty, but you know what I mean, is not quite as rough and tough as some of those guys as well. So it all comes down to, in my opinion, just a bit of a lack of hunger in the defense. And I think that it's a really bad time for that, because I think what we're seeing in the team as a whole is a general kind of complacency, which is why we keep conceding these late goals. I said the exact same thing last week, but we went nearly the whole season without conceding in the last 15 minutes. And that was a testament to our focus and our will to hold out or to see out the game. Whereas this season, in 6 games, we've done it 4 times. So, that says everything about the comparative inability or the comparative lack of focus, and just really kind of nailing down that result. And, I said this last week, but I'll say it again. Last season rather, opponents had to try and pry any crumbs from our cold dead hands, from our vice grip, whereas this season it just seems like we're letting a lot of sand kind of fall through the cracks, slip through the cracks of our fingers, you know what I mean? And so that's a really big concern. And like I said, coupled with the kind of defensive frailty in a way, I think teams are finding ways to exploit us. And despite everything I've just said, more than the aerial threat is just the threat of people running at us. Like the amount of chances Milan were able to make against us from speedy runners just kind of running at our centre backs, drawing them out of position, kind of dragging them out wide, etc. Same thing we saw yesterday against Udinese. So that for me is a bigger concern.
I'm not really sure how many chances Udinese got. I mean, they didn't exactly run at us, in a sense that they created maybe 2 chances in a match, which one can say that those are like good scoring chances. Obviously, the second one when Lucas scored the goal, and then the first half there was this one cross when was it Lovric who almost got the ball, but DiMarco blocked it at the last second. But I don't think we leaked too much yesterday, but it's the fact that we conceded 2 goals. That Udinese's first goal, that was a nice header, but if we are like honest, those are like really low low xG chances, those type of crosses and headers. But we have managed to somehow concede like two of those kind of headers in a span of 2 weeks now. Now, first against Monza and now against Udinese, and then there was this Gabbia goal in the derby as well. It's a bit different, but anyway. So I see the concerns, but I don't quite agree with the claim that we were super vulnerable yesterday, or like we leaked in the defense. But there were these few chances. We like conceded 2 chances, and Udinese had pretty high converting rate yesterday. I would say that's more like closer what happened. But in a sense, I agree that when you lead 3-1 in a match like this, and it should be done at that point. But then for some reason it's not done, and we concede this kind of breakaway out of nowhere. That's an issue. That's an issue we need to fix somehow, because we can't have these kind of matches too many, since it's been a bit of a trend that we keep conceding late goals. Okay, yesterday Udinese didn't have when they tried to find the equalizer, I don't think they were like anywhere close to that. But still, anything can happen, like the cross in the first half, like the cross in the Monza match when Motta scored the great header. So I think we simply need to be better than this. Even though I think we were good yesterday, but still we somehow managed to lose the focus in these few moments, and immediately the opponent like manages to take advantage of those small hiccups we keep doing. And regarding that, I didn't like Bissek too much. I mean, he's young, so we need to play him because he's been good. But yesterday, I think he was partly fault at the Luka goal, and then in the first half when Lovric almost scored, he was like, he lost his man, and Acerbi had to support him, and then it was like first it was like 2 against 2 in the goal, and on the goal, and DiMarco managed to make the miraculous save there, all the block. But he needs to be better. But that applies to Power as well. So Power hasn't been any better in a sense, though. So they need to both be even more focused. And I understand Bissek, like I said, he's a young guy, so eventually there will be these kind of games where he might lose focus time to time. Against City, he was excellent. That was a perfect match defensively, I think, by him. But then he simply needs to find a way to have this max focus. And of course, same goes for Power. He's an experienced guy, so he definitely needs to be better than this. So I'm giving a bit of slack to Bissek, but yeah, I didn't appreciate his playing yesterday too much.
Who got burned on that second goal, on the Luka goal? Like who was kind of
yeah, it was first. It was Bissek let the ball go through him, and then Luka passed the ball to the guy who then passed him back to Luka, who ran to the goal, and Hakan couldn't catch him anymore at that point. See, because Acerbi like lost him totally there. So there were mistakes in that goal, like,
and then De Vrij couldn't stop him either. No, but I think why I was asking was because on the header goal too, the one thing I've noticed this year more than last year is that I kind of feel like our midfield and the wing backs have been doing a poorer job defending. They're letting the center backs get into a lot more pressure. And on that first goal, and I've seen this pattern on a lot of the headed goals, is that the player who should be kind of defending the person making the cross, not letting them get a kind of unabated cross in, is slow to react. Like on that first goal, DeMarco was just kind of standing around, like 5 feet, 2 yards away from the guy who was making the cross, and he was under no pressure. He had a completely clear line of sight to make that cross in, completely undefended, and I think that's been happening a lot more. So I think it really does come down to more of like a team effort too. Like for some reason, our midfielders, when they're defending crosses into the box, are giving up too much space to let the cross come in. And then a lot of times, whoever the player is, and I've noticed it with Fertezi, I've noticed it with Hakan as well, they, in the box, Mkhitaryan in the box, they're completely unable to out jump their opponent when they're defending crosses. So I'm not saying it's always the midfield, but I do think that the midfield and the wingbacks need to do a better job of supplementing the team defense, because we have leaked a lot of goals this year, a lot. Juventus have given up 0 in 6 matches, and we've given up a lot. Like we're not even close to being decent on that front.
I want to circle back to Miko's point for a second. We did not leak a ton of chances yesterday. There were 3 clear-cut Udinese chances I can think of. I think why people are upset is because of the ruthlessness of it. Last year, when we were up in matches, we knew they were over. Like there was not a shadow of a doubt that we were going to win that game. We weren't going to concede late, and the result was finished. And we just don't have that air of invincibility this year. And maybe it's unfair to expect it, but that's why people are so upset, because last year they saw this team that just got the job done every time they got a lead in a match. And now we're holding on for dear life every time we go a leg up on the opponent. So I think that's why people are upset, even though we weren't necessarily leaking chances yesterday, is that we keep finding ourselves conceding late in matches. We conceded late against Milan. We conceded late against Udinese. It's a trend that it's impossible to feel good about.
Yeah, I want to add to that. When we have like a 1-goal lead, it's always it feels a bit terrifying now, because no matter how tight our defending is, like around the box, but you can like throw any kind of a cross there, and now it seems that there's a chance something's gonna happen after the cross. So it's a bit of an issue. And to Irfan's point, I understand that you need to block the crosses better, but we realistically, I don't think we can like block all those. Like we can't. It's just impossible. It would take too much energy if we try to like aggressively block and cover so that no crosses, even those deep ones,
it's the game plan.
come in.
We let them, we crowd out the middle, we force them to the wings, and we give them no option but to cross, expecting our 3 tall centre backs to win every ball. And by and large, it works on paper. It should work, but as we've seen, it's just a mix of, I think, some good luck, or bad luck rather, and I don't know. Like I said, a bit of a lack of fight, or a bit of a lack of desire, which has led to us conceding some headed goals. But we're not going to close down every cross into the box. But I do agree we could put in a bit more effort if players are, in like a closing down range of a defender to actually close down and prevent the balls from entering the box to begin with. So
yeah, but these few crosses we've talked about, they are these deep crosses. So I think it's hard to block all of those. But of course, you could do a better job. You can do a better job with those ones. And now looking at the Udinese first goal, it is a nice cross, but I think Pisek, he's not doing a great job marking his guy there. So
yeah, I mean, the first goal was totally a man-to-man failure. Look at Mkhitaryan after the goal; he's holding out the hands, asking him like, "What are you doing?" Like it's preventable. I'm not saying you need. I think people, when you're a fan of a club as big as Inter, You expect to go, when you're playing a club like Udinese, you have this unrealistic expectation that you want to go in, dominate them, and not allow them to have any genuine goal scoring chances and rout them 4-0. And obviously it's unrealistic. Udinese are going to always have chances to score in a match. Like, we're fine with that. And if they're low probability crosses in from the wing, people are generally going to be fine with it. But when you're blatantly missing your man on a cross, that's not even that long of a cross, if memory serves correct, it was nothing out of the ordinary, and you're just blatantly missing people, that's something you can control. It's something that can easily be improved, and yet it's the recurring problem over the past few weeks. I do want to comment quickly that Basek hasn't been great defensively this season. I was talking to someone in the forum about this. He is good in everything he does except for his marking right now. Like, he's great going forward. He's great on the ball. He has good physical presence, but he just keeps getting beat one-on-one. And I'm not saying bench the guy. Like, it's the exact same thing as the Asllani argument. You want him to grow out of it. You want him to play it and get better. It's just frustrating to watch unfold.
Yeah, let's go something positive. We gotta
yes, this world famous positive Inter podcast. Let's talk about something positive. Let's talk about Frattesi, who had an excellent game yesterday, one of his best of the season, if not for Inter in general. He starts in his more natural right central midfield position. He scores a goal less than a minute in. Someone had shared some stats of his contributions versus the player he was directly going against, and Frattesi's metrics were off the chart in terms of domination, in terms of the goal-scoring chances. So, Jay, what did you see from Frattesi yesterday, and are you feeling any better about him after yesterday's shift?
Yeah, for sure. He's a guy who's obviously always going to be somewhat limited to certain roles, or he's going to shine most in certain functions. But yesterday I felt forget his hilariously scuffed goal for a second. His overall game, or all-round game, I thought was a lot more expansive, a lot more what we need from him if he's ever going to be a serious competitor in this midfield. I think the general consensus is that Frattesi's like good for a late charge, good for a late goal, gets on the end of balls, but isn't really useful when we're trying to maintain possession against a high-quality opponent or something to that effect. But I agree. That's just his characteristics. But like I said yesterday, it was very much a step in the right direction. I thought he was involved a lot more with possession, recycling the ball around, distributing play, getting in there, breaking up attacks, and being strong defensively as well. I think he has a knack for kind of winning loose balls or winning the tackle in the midway point of the pitch. And so if there's a way that we can either get more of that from him or get him to kind of expand upon that style of play, then good for us. But a step in the right direction. I also just want to say yesterday, despite scoring 3 goals, 2 of them shit, we need to be more focused with our attacks and not squander so many chances. There were times in the game where it should have been 2-0 to us, and then Udinese scored, and instead of being 2-0, it was 1-1. And then at the end, where it should have been 4-1 with Lautaro, literally Carlos Augusto open to his left, goes for some off-balance left-footed chip shot instead to try and get some hat-trick, So, when it could have been 4-1, it ended up being 3-2 and a nervy end to the game. So these small things do make a difference. And, it's easy to say, oh, but they didn't score, they didn't make it 3-3 or whatever. But I'm sure that's exactly what the players and fans alike were thinking when, Milan had a late free kick. Oh, they're probably going to, how often do we concede from free kicks or corners? We'll just head the ball out and blah, blah, blah. And yeah, it's true, but can't let that complacency inch in at all.
I think we created pretty good chances in this match. We, like Jay mentioned, we scored 3 goals. One of them was I love the XG, so I'm gonna use it again. One of them, the Lautaro, the real goal, it was the low XG one, but the rest of our goals were pretty high XG. And then there were also, in the first half, there was the Lautaro Lautaro header pretty early, then Fratesi in the box, which I think it was Lautaro who passed Fratesi in the middle. That was pretty good chance. And then there was the other Lautaro chance when he tried to chip the ball. I think it was Mkhitaryan on the left. I don't know why they didn't communicate better, but it is what it is. But I think we created pretty nicely all this real threat to their box. And as Jay mentioned, it's unfortunate, and Inzaghi mentioned this as well, how we can't score enough, and it's been pretty typical for this team for years now that we aren't scoring enough compared to all the chances we are creating. That's like the usual. Not in the derby wasn't the case, but in the usual match we create a lot of xG and like a lot of all kinds of events on opponent's box, but we seem somehow not to convert them, and it might become an issue. It didn't become an issue yesterday, but it might become one when we then keep conceding at the rate we did yesterday. So there needs to be an improvement on either finishing or then the defending, or hopefully both. But something needs to change, I think, because it's not looking like last season anymore in terms of defending. So either that needs to shift back to what it was last season, or then we need to like start a proper goals galore or something to keep winning the matches confidently.
We were disagreeing about something online, Miko, so I want to get into this now. I will offer the negative perspective and then give you a chance to bring this home with some positivity, which is I cannot get over what a giant waste of money this Palacios guy is. When you think about the subs Inzaghi had to make yesterday, I already explained what happened with him taking Bastoni off. Clearly, this guy is unfit to play in our league. He was an oak tree special. We had to go buy someone young. He's getting the bit of the Buchanan treatment in that he's just not playing in matches. Buchanan's significantly older than Palacios, so Buchanan somehow muscled out, 5-minute, 10-minute cameos here and there. But we're a month into his Inter career. As someone joked, I don't think he's even put on his Inter warm-up shirt yet. Like, there's no chance this guy plays an Inter match before December, right? So when you look at what this has done to our squad depth, it's just driving me crazy. So Miko, please explain why you think I'm wrong here.
All right, let's go. First of all, it was just 6.5 million, so I don't think we would have done much with that money anyway. And second, it's for the future, obviously. So like we discussed here, he probably won't be playing much this season. But given the need of rotation, I think he might more than we initially discussed. And second, or is it the third now? Now that I'm watching the last season's minutes, when Dissect played his first 90 minutes, it was 9th of December. And before that, he had played like 7 minutes, 1 minute, and 4 minutes in 3 different matches. So maybe we can wait a bit before we judge too much this guy, because he came. I think he came at the deadline day, so he missed all the preseason. Unlike Bissek last or a year ago in the summer, he played the full preseason with Inzaghi. Now this guy hasn't done that at all with Inzaghi. So I think it will take time before we see the guy, and I'm totally fine with that. Maybe he plays in the Coppa against Udinese. It should be in December. Maybe he plays in that match. Hopefully he plays, and we use like full bench guys in that competition. But I wouldn't be worrying yet. Maybe I might be worrying next winter, next spring if he hasn't played any matches. But to me, he's anyway a sign-in for the future, and he's probably not going to help us a lot this season anyway. And that's just the decision the club clearly made, that they made this kind of a future sign-in. a bit like the second keeper. I don't know. Are we going to see Martinez play much this season? Hopefully he.
No, we're not. Okay, so
Because
there are
right,
two areas.
because right, it's for the future. But just the question is investing for the future the best strategy when I think most people would
There's
agree.
a current need in the squad,
Yeah,
and they chose to
exactly,
invest for the
exactly.
future instead.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I hope he doesn't play, because the way this fan base reacts to young players is just, it's an unmitigated, unadulterated, visceral hatred for young players.
No.
I would have
No
young
one
player
has
player.
vitriol or hatred towards Bisek.
I mean,
They just have it towards Asllani.
not yet, because Bisek hasn't played enough. Just wait. Just give it some time.
I am almost convinced Bisek has more minutes for the squad than Asllani does.
Maybe he's played less, but he seems to play more full games or close to it.
I didn't even mention Asllani. You just projected that I was talking about it for him.
We only have two young players in the squad.
Can I just say Bisek has more goals than Asllani?
Think about the circumstances it took to get Bisek in the starting lineup last season. It was a combination of, we had no right wing backs except Darmian, and then Pavard was hurt, so we had no right center back options. It was literally Inzaghi's only choice. And that's what it will take for Palacios to find minutes this season. And I'm just upset because it's clear Morata and Inzaghi identified a current need. Like, we were linked to Ricardo Rodriguez, for example. Like, they wanted a player who could play this season. And instead we got stuck with a youth project who's never going to play.
Yeah, I see your point, and I'm pretty certain that this is like purely club decision, and Inzaghi played no part in that, in a sense that he 100% would have taken Ricardo Rodriguez before this Palacios kid. But it is what it is. So
yeah, I've known absolutely nothing about this Palacios guy. He might turn into the next Bastoni. I have no clue. All I'm saying is we need somebody now, and we got somebody in 2027 if we're lucky.
Yeah, but let's hope better than 2027. Let's hope this winter maybe we see something. He should be. Isn't he like a super tall guy, but very very skillful? And I think Inzaghi he mentioned when he was asked about this guy, he was asked that could he play on the center as well, and I think the answer was a bit vague, but he didn't reject the idea immediately. But let's see.
Anything else anyone wants to hit on from the Udinese game before we talk Champions League?
I will say it was pretty impressive that we won any match against any opponent without Barella. So some positive note right there.
I don't know why he's not playing Zielinski. Does Mkhitaryan need to play 90 minutes again?
I assume Zielinski will start against Red Star. He has to.
That's quite the bold prediction there. I'm just assuming Mkhitaryan's playing 90 again. To
give Inzaghi some credit, no one expected him to pull a Zielinski start out of his ass, away at Man City. So, yeah, I don't think it's out of the question that he starts Zielinski at Red Star, but I just think we can probably see more of him in Serie A. I mean, the guy's been in the league for like 8 years or something, so it's not like he needs an adjustment period,
Yeah, and he was okay. The whole team was pretty good against City at the midfield, but I think it was like clearly the best game by Zielinski when he started, and when his came in was against Monza and the Derby, and now in this match I think he hasn't been great in these matches when he's come from the bench. He hasn't had too much impact in these matches. So I hope when he starts, he's going to be a lot better than what we've seen so far, apart from the City match, because we haven't seen those long dribblings too much apart from the City match. Okay, there weren't many, but they were convincing enough, and I think we need those from the guy. And one thing. I'm a bit skeptical about Zielinski's. Will it take time to fit to this role what the Mezzala does in the Inzaghi system, especially defensively? since I've seen a few instances when he's like clearly out of position and doing something wrong there. But I would assume those will be like those are just small hiccups at this point, and they will be fixed, and he will become like an important part of this midfield as the season goes, as it will be a long and a lot of matches coming.
Well, speaking of lots of matches, let's get into a busy week ahead. So last week we got the reprieve. Last week was only one match, so we got to lick our wounds properly after the derby. Now we're back to the 2 matches a week cadence. Champions League match, I believe, at home on Tuesday. We talked a little bit about start-sit decisions. I think it's safe to assume Pavar will be playing in this after he was on the bench against Udinese. You've got the Mkhitaryan-Zielinski coin flip, possibility of Taremi starting. So Irfan against the weaker opponent at home, what do you expect to see, and what are you hoping for?
Um, what I expect to see from us at home is a dominant display, led by 90 minutes of a warrior-like performance by Mkhitaryan. And I think I would really like to see Taremi. It'd be great to see some rotation because, like you said, we're not going to have another kind of week-long break like we did this last time. So I don't know. I'm looking to see like a little bit of a freshened up squad, maybe put some players out there who are extra motivated to make a good impression. Playing in the comfort of home, I expect us to pretty much dominate this match and play really well and get a win.
Yeah, I expect that. I don't know, maybe not a heavy rotation, but some kind of rotation for sure. I think Taremi should start this match. I don't know, should even Arnautovic start, but I don't think Inzaghi is gonna do that. But yeah, then Acerbi should sit this one. He's been playing quite a lot recently.
Is
I don't know.
Arnautovic even fit? Like, if we're at the point where we're choosing Correa over him as a late match substitution, is this guy alive?
That was interesting to see that Correa came in and not
That was a
not
tactical.
Arnautovic.
It was a tactical move. There's probably a barbecue somewhere that needed to be made.
But now that I remembered, I have to give credit to Correa. He wasn't like total bum. I think he actually ran there off the ball as well and didn't lose the ball. So when there's anything positive to say, I I need to say it out loud when it comes to Correa. But yeah, it's fascinating. But I think Arnautovic is fine. Wasn't he playing? Wasn't he playing in some, maybe in Monza match? I don't remember.
Fit or not
I
fit,
don't remember.
he'll have the same influence whether he's fit or not.
Come on. As for the midfield, would you guys feel that Aslani will start this match, or should he start?
Well, against a Balkan opponent, you could always start a Balkan midfielder and expect great things. But I don't know. I think we'll see. I think we'll definitely see Zielinski, but I think we'll see Hakan again. And so I think we might see the same. We might see Fratesi then, or we might see Mkhitaryan. But I don't know if Aslani will start. I think he's gonna go with Hakan again. Just because without Barella, I think you do need some sort of kind of typical backbone in the midfield. I don't think he'll mess with that too much.
Yeah, it would be Aslani Fratesi, dynamic duo again. So maybe he's not going to do that.
Yeah, we know that doesn't work.
That's true. Yeah.
Jay, what are you thinking for this Champions League match?
Red Star Belgrade have won 8 out of their 9 games in the Serbian Superliga. The other draw, undefeated, 27 goals scored, 5 against. So they've started their domestic campaign really strongly. In the Champions League, I believe they lost to Benfica at home. But I did see they looked okay, to be honest. I would like to think we're tougher opposition than Benfica. Look, we should be aiming to win comprehensively, but you can never take any opponent for granted. So let's just hope we maintain a level of, how can I say, you know when things are going well, there's just the kind of air of confidence about the club, and you can put out a team that's appropriately rotated with youngsters, perhaps, or with some backup players, and still go out and smash some lower tier opponent like a team from Serbia, and everyone has a great time. When shit's not going well, it's a lot harder to do that. I'm not convinced that things are going like super great for us yet, where we can, you know what I mean, like where we can just throw out anyone and get the job done. So I do think Inzaghi will be mindful of that as well. I don't think we're going to see full stock rotation, but I wouldn't be surprised to see Darmian again. I don't know what's going on with Dumfries. Romano said we recently extended him to 2028, and yet he still feels like kind of surplus. He still feels like surplus here. I don't think Inzaghi seems like he rates him all that highly anymore either compared to Darmian. So I don't know what the deal is with Dumfries, but I hope he starts. As for the midfield, whatever. Like, on one hand, I kind of do want Aslani to start because I think it's important we get Çalhanoğlu some rest. But like I said, we can't take anyone for granted. Right now, we've already dropped points to the likes of Monza and Genoa. These are opponents that are getting pretty easily dispatched by Juventus and other competitors. And so we really need to make sure that any lesser opponents that are presented to us as opportunities we take with both hands and secure the 3 points. So yeah, I hope to see an appropriately strong squad and hopefully an appropriately strong performance as well.
Yeah, I mean, the opposition is going to have former Milan standout Krunic in their midfield, so we all know they'll be extra motivated.
I think you mean Scudetto winner Rade Krunic.
Yes, that's the guy.
Jay, can I get an advanced scouting report on one Korean defender, Young Woo?
No, you cannot. Never heard of the guy in my life.
All right, we can do some predictions for the match if you guys want, Miko.
Okay. So it's the home match. I think we should handle this. I'm gonna go with 3-1. We can't keep a clean sheet, but this time we're gonna win confidently. So let's go with 3-1. Jay.
I'm gonna say 2-0. Goals from Fratesi again and Thuram.
Yeah, I'm gonna go 2-0, where Martinez in his first start just stands on his head and has like 15 saves, and we end up winning 2-0 thanks to a goal from Hakan and another goal from De Vrij.
I can't, in good conscience, predict a clean sheet right now, so I will go with a 2-1 win where we're up 2-0 and concede a goal late. Give me goals from Lautaro and Taremi finally gets on the score sheet. Do we have a Jay's Hot betting tip?
I forgot. Give me a second. I'll pull something on my ass.
Isn't that always the case?
These are well-researched betting tips, Irfan.
I just noticed we actually play Torino next week on Saturday, so it's a
but we're not going to be able to record before then.
Yeah, that's a tough schedule since now we have Udinese and now Torino. Both are like the big, well, not big, but surprises. They are like at 10 points or something for the season. So it's a bit, well, Torino's at 11, so they are tied with us. So that's a tough schedule. And then it's the famous national team break after that match.
Is that when European qualifiers start?
I don't know. It's the Nations League
or
BS.
World Cup qualifier. I honestly forget. World Cup qualifiers? No, Nations League still.
Yeah, it's the Nations League still. But yeah, I don't know. I would have hoped that Lautaro wouldn't be going, but I'm sure he's gonna travel. That's I don't ever like that when he does that. But what can he do?
It's nice when you had Icardi who was exiled from the national team.
Yeah.
Speaking of Icardi, he's making a deadly strike duo at Galatasaray with Osimhen. I can't believe fucking Galatasaray have a better attack than us, but
yes, they just absolutely annihilated Mourinho.
Yeah, I know, right? But it is what it is, and I'm going to give you not one but two hot betting tips for the week ahead, both Champions League games that happen concurrently to ours. I'm going to say Milan go to Leverkusen and win 2-1, and I'm going to say Arsenal beat PSG 5-0.
Is it the Arsenal home match or away match?
Home.
Okay. I can take that.
Are these predictions or wishes? I can't tell the difference.
They seem like deep, dark wishes more than anything.
No, they're more like Jungian fears manifested in reality. You know, Leverkusen, more like Neverkusen, especially in Europe, right? They're going up against one of the most successful teams in the history of the competition. Meanwhile, PSG are all definition of a team that's all flash, no substance, no heart, just a bunch of soulless mercenaries getting overpaid. Meanwhile, Arsenal, Arteta's young warriors, Arteta's redefining the game, best coach in Europe, in my opinion, after Pep Guardiola. I think Martin Odegaard might be the best footballer I've ever seen. And of course, Bukayo Saka is he's effectively the best right winger in the world, isn't he? You know,
Odegaard isn't even playing.
I know that's what I'm saying. Odegaard's injured, but you know, the guys, they're just going to pull through without their captain. That's how much belief and confidence that Arteta has instilled into them. And obviously, it goes without saying, but Saliba's the best centre back in the planet. And so yeah, thinking Arsenal will destroy PSG 5-0.
Honestly, I would hope that happens, but you're just being sarcastic here.
I'm surprised by your prediction because, as far as you're concerned, Milan hasn't beaten a good team yet this season, right?
That's right. They've only beat shit teams, shit Finnish teams.
I think Leverkusen will beat the shit out of Milan. It's the home game, and they will punish them hard.
You know, a man can dream, but I think you know, reality is often disappointing, as they say.
Maybe we should hope Milan gets some points from Leverkusen, because they are more like a rival against us in the Champions League than Milan.
There you go, some three-dimensional chess right there from Miko. I like it.
This is what they teach in Finnish schools.
Well, way more advanced than our schools, so I'll take it.
All right, I think we're good to wrap there. Thanks everyone for listening. We'll be back next week with the Champions League recap and also the Torino recap. Catch you all then.
All right, catch you later.
All right, see ya.
Forza Inter.
I like Miko's new signature sign-off.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with that. I'm gonna go with that one.
It's cool. It's good.
It's a good reminder that we're an Inter podcast.
I was about to say, yeah, someone's got to, you know, you wouldn't be able to tell otherwise. Come on.